So, so welcome, Paul. Everybody, this is the amazing Paul that I have been admiring on Instagram because he is doing an amazing job, growing in a very rapid way. But you know, people are so many on Instagram. Everybody is showing their lives and everything, but very few are impacting other people's lives. And Paul has been impacting over 15,000 people with his words, with, quotes that are so powerful and making people really, really grow, and just showing life that you can actually enjoy life at the same time as you're working hard, and that it's never too late to begin. And sorry about your friend, you lost your friend at a very young age. I'm really sorry about that.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
but I really enjoyed the part where you actually bid him well, but you also celebrated his life. And that for me was just so profound. And so I'm gonna let you introduce yourself and tell our viewers who you are, what you do, and where you're based.
Yeah, so my name is Paul Smolinski. My background is I was always in the fashion industry. I love fashion. I was I left school with no qualifications. I hated school. I couldn't be taught in school. I wanted to get out and be an entrepreneur when I was a young age, I had a lot of family members who were all entrepreneurs, and and I was always got taught, never work for other people, work for yourself, and I got drilled that when I was a young kid, when I was growing up. And so I left school, and my first job was I went into retail, and I love fashion. I love menswear. And
At what age? At what
I
age did you leave?
I left school at 16 years old, and I left school, and I didn't set any exams. I just wanted to make money, and I used to work on car boot sales.
Wow.
And I used to sell wrapping paper and sellotape and slippers in the high street for one of my friends' dads. So I used to learn the art of selling, when I was a young
Really?
age. And
Had you read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by any chance? Because you're literally portraying the two boys, the best friends, like Robert
yeah,
Kiyosaki. Yeah.
well, it's a true story, because going on to that, my background was always fashion, loved it as well. And then one day, I was asked to go to London to go and see three keynote speakers. Well, one was a guy called Kevin Green, who was from Secret Millionaire, and he was one of the biggest landlords in the UK, owned about 1,000 properties. Then there was another guy who was singing, who used to work with Tony Robbins. And there was a guy called Andy Harrington, who was
Yes.
a big, well-known speaker. And the third person to go and see, and I've never heard of this woman in my life, was a lady called Sharon Lecter, who was the co-founder of Rich Dad Poor Dad with Robert Kiyosaki.
Are you serious?
And Sharon, I went to see Sharon in London about 10 years ago. I was in retail. I was a store manager. I've been an area manager for most of my life. And I had enough travel around the country, from London down to Cornwall, did all sorts. Worked for Hugo Boss, fashion brands and Italian brands. And I started my career in Topshop and Topman, which is a big fashion chain in the UK.
Yeah.
And I was one of those guys that sat in the audience and was inspired, listening to Sharon Lecter speak. And there was about 300-400 people there.
Yeah.
And we met Sharon and had a photograph with her. And I never stopped talking all the way back from London, come back to Cardiff, saying, wow, this thing about networking and the power of networking, and, how important it was, and who you associate yourself with. And at the time, Sharon was the business mentor to President Obama and George Bush on financial literacy for the US government. And I thought, wow, imagine, all the people that I know I'm connected to, if I came into the business. And obviously at the time, my wife at the time was running a company called IntroBiz, which was a business networking company. And it was more of a lifestyle business. And And, you know, and it was really, it was that moment that really made me go into the business, which was, you know, was a company called Intrabiz, which my wife founded. And I said, if I come into this business, you know, I'm going to make it like a brand, like Hugo Boss, like a luxury high-end network, do things differently and stand out. And then what happened was, I did my research for about 6 months on all business networks around the world.
Yes.
I wanted to see what can I do different that would make us stand out. And what happened was, I said to myself, "We'll give it 1 year, and if it works, great. If it doesn't work, then I'll go back to the retail job." That was it.
Did you have to travel every single time to discover these other brands, what they were doing, how they were doing it? Did you come, for example, to Paris or different Italy, which are the capitals of fashion and design? Did you get to travel to see what they were doing from the industry level to their, you know, client services and everything?
Yeah, from a fashion point of view, we used to do all the top Italian brands and you know, obviously lots of luxury brands. I did that for like, you know, 25 years, something like that. So, you know, I used to dress all entrepreneurs. I used to dress all business owners. And what I did, the turning point for me and the light bulb moment for me it was all about the power of leverage and the power of your communication, of people that you knew. And I never understood what the networking meant. I never understood the power of networking. Didn't know
Have you read the book The Greatest Networker in the World?
I haven't read that. No. Who's that by?
You're sure? You're literally living what he writes in that book. You know, just the power of networking, how you are connected to people who leverage you to going to the top, where you're headed towards.
100%. And what happened is Sharon was talking on stage about, you know, the power of networking, the power of association. And I thought, God, I must have dressed thousands and thousands of business owners. And I knew thousands of people all over the world. And I thought, wow, imagine if I could bring those people into my network and build a brand. And it was about a year later, we had an email from Sharon Lecter.
Yeah.
And she was looking to mentor people in the UK and around the world. And there's only a selected amount of people that she wanted to mentor. And at the time, we just like been in the business about a year. We were still growing the business. We were looking at opportunities, how we could scale the business as well. And there was two turning points. One, in our business, we went to a business exhibition at a Cardiff City Football Club.
Yeah.
And it was like the South Wales Chamber. There was about 80 odd companies. We paid something like £1,000 to go there. And historically, they were never any good. And we went there, we exhibited, we paid our money, and there was loads of people there, like, you know, exhibitors, but no traffic there at all. Wow. And we exhibited at that show. And after the show, we got back in the car, and I said to the wife at the time, we're going to do an exhibition in 3 months' time better than this. And this is the South Wales Chamber, the biggest event in Wales, the most prestigious company in networking. The South Wales Chamber was one of the biggest networks.
Was this from the point when Sharon proposed the coaching moment, or?
No, this is before this.
This is before
this. And it was 3 months after I came into the business, 3 months. And I've never done an exhibition in my whole life. I've never don't know where to start, what to do, whatever. But I know I could do a better job than this. And I got one of the keynote speakers. My first keynote speaker was the guy I saw in London, Kevin Green, who was Welsh.
Yeah.
And he was from Secret Millionaire. And I said to Kevin, you're a Welsh guy. I'm launching the first exhibition in Cardiff. Will you be my first keynote speaker? And he goes, Paul, because you're Welsh, I'll support you. I said, really, Kev, I really appreciate it.
And
we bonded from there. and he's very, very respectful.
They say when you are ready to do great things, the universe comes together to be able to give you the people that you need, give you everything. The doors just begin to open.
Of course they do, yeah. And also, so we did a show in 3 months' time. We had 60 exhibitors, and we had 400 people there, and people said, wow. And you know, one learning tip I learned from this as well.
Just a second, Paul. Instagram went down a little bit, and people were really listening to us. Sorry, because a call came in. So just putting it back on.
Okay.
Okay, it's taking time. Let's just go on, because this is going to be on YouTube, and it's going to be registered, and I will tell my viewers also at the same time.
That's fine. So we sold like 60 stands. We had 400 people, and people said, wow, this is amazing, amazing. Like, you know, and that was the birth. That was the birth of producing the biggest events in Wales and the third biggest event in the UK. And then the following year, we had 120 exhibitors, 800 people. The following year, we had something like, 150 exhibitors, and we had something like up to 2,000 people.
Wow.
And then we took it to the biggest location in Cardiff.
Just a moment. If any of our listeners are, asking ourselves, like, how did he get such large numbers? For them to understand, because at first you said you did not know where to begin, but it took only one person, your Welsh comrade, to be able to lift you up. But sure. From that point, for somebody else to also just get to learn from you, how did you manage to pull all these crowds now towards you?
I think a lot of it was down to my social media marketing.
Right.
I'd never done social media marketing in my life. And I thought the only way to get people to come is through social media.
Yeah.
And I built up a network on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and I worked like a machine. I thought, there's no one going to beat me up there. There's no one's going to topple me. I thought, I'm going to work night and day to get people attraction to it, to spread the word. We did advertising magazines. We did collaborations. We had partners who were promoting it. Everyone was telling everyone about it, saying this is going to be the best this is the next big thing. And I think there was another turning point that when we had Kevin the first year. They say when you are ready to do good. The second thing was the following year is, who do I bring next? And the next person I brought was Kevin Green back again. Mm-hmm. And I brought Daniel Priestley.
Wow.
From KPI. Wow. And I brought Dashana Uber, who was a top female small business entrepreneur who's very well connected.
Yeah.
And I brought those three together, and they went really, really well. And then the third year was a life-changing moment. And this is what was collaboration of who you connected to. Exactly. So I met up with Kevin Green, who was a very well-known celebrity, knew lots of people. I said, Kev, I want to get someone from the Dragon's Den. Dragon's Den is like Shark Tank. It's a big entrepreneur TV program. And I said, who do you know that we can bring from the Dragon's Den? And he went through the list of people. He said, Wilson, I'm very close to Hilary Devey from the Dragon's Den. And Hilary was very well connected to the business community. Her company just turned over like £500 million a year. Very, very successful businesswoman.
You can just accept the invite so that viewers can continue listening to us.
Okay, hold on.
Sorry.
Okay, hold on. Okay. Yeah.
Fantastic. With the volume down.
On the phone or on the
Yeah.
computer?
On the phone, finally.
Okay. Hold on.
Great. All the people who are listening before are back. We are very sorry for the inconvenience. And we hope that you can continue listening through to the amazing story. The registration is going to be on the YouTube, so you will be able to get the recordings without a problem.
I'm just trying to just get the phone. Just everyone seems to be ringing me this time of day. It was the same.
Yeah, maybe you can cut the volume on the phone.
I've got. Is that better? No, hold on.
Actually, now it's working better on Instagram, so maybe we can lower the volume completely on the computer.
Okay.
That way there'll be no echo. You cut completely on the computer, and then we'll hear you on the.
It's still echoing, isn't it? It's still echoing, I think, isn't it?
Mine is okay now. Can you hear the echo?
Can you hear it now?
Perfect. And then the volume on the computer, we can put it down.
Yeah.
So this is perfect.
Okay.
This way, even the viewers get to listen to you perfectly well.
Good. Okay. Okay. That's it. So I just get in.
You see, the Kickbase says Paul is a lot clearer this time round.
Okay. So just.
This is fantastic.
Okay. Let me just get.
Thank you so much for coming back. For those who are listening, we are sorry for the bit of technical hiccups, but hiccups are part of life, right? But we keep going. So let's continue with the story, dear. I'm really sorry.
So yeah, so going back to it was the third year, which was life changing, and we had Hilary DeVay come and speak for us. She was on national TV, and we've never had a Dragon's Den come to Cardiff before. So it was one of the first, a first dragon has spoken in Cardiff, because Wales is a bit of like, you got the UK map. Not many big known speakers come to Wales. It's very rare. Yeah. You have to go to London or Manchester or Birmingham or the NEC to go and see the big name speakers. And my dream was always to bring all the biggest names ever to Wales. That was always my goal and my dream. And how do I do it? I used to go for big venues. So venues were like 30,000, 40,000 square foot venues that we hired, sold out, packed out. And my goal was always to go to the Motorpoint Arena, which is like 68,000 square foot, where they have like big pop concerts there. And
has your president or ministers ever considered making you an ambassador of Wales? Because you are doing an amazing job, trying to pull in crowds even to your own country, which is amazing.
Do you know what? I didn't get any recognition at all from the government, nothing whatsoever. And I brought in probably millions of pounds worth of business that people brought in, to the city and the community for years. But you know what? Some government officials and some government people, they either recognize great work or they don't, or they support you. But, you would never get support at all. Unfortunately, we just never got supported.
But guess what? The world is the one benefiting from you. You have become a world ambassador, and that I love so much.
100%. And I thought to myself, do you know what? I don't need the government to support me. I had to raise my own finance, my own sponsors. And so Hilary came, and everyone was like, wow, Hilary DeVay is coming to Cardiff. It's incredible. And then the following year, we went for the Apprentice winners.
Yes.
So we went from Dragon's Den to the Apprentice. And then the dream was always to go to the Motorpoint Arena, which was like, a huge, massive, started off in a small car park at Cardiff City Football Stadium, went to their training facility grounds, went to another bigger place, another good place. So we actually moved about 5 times the venue size to go bigger, bigger, and bigger. And then we went to the 68,000 square foot venue at Motor Point. And the goal was which was in 2018, the goal was to bring Grant Cardone from America, the world's #1 sales guru.
I attended his seminar like 2 months ago, so I know Grant Cardone. And Marcus Gu says Paul's events are simply amazing. So you have attended some. This is great.
Excellent. And then, so my dream was always to bring Grant Cardone to Cardiff and to bring Lord Sugar. And Lord Sugar was like, you know, in 2017, 2018, 2016, was the #1 top entrepreneur in the UK from The Apprentice.
Wow.
Because of his population, yeah?
Yeah.
And how popular he was. So it was like, you know, that was the dream. The dream was, how do I bring these guys together? Because,
and what was the purpose, apart from them, you now doing the huge events? Was it also to attract towards your fashion designs? Was it to inspire the Welsh people to be greater, do greater? What was the objective of the big events?
I think the goal more than anything is that you can see billionaires in your backyard in Cardiff.
Yes.
Without going to London to see them.
Yeah.
And it was in 2018, it was the biggest event in the UK. It was the #1 event in the UK. No one put an event on like that, or the biggest names in the UK that was going. Even London, Birmingham, no one could compete with it. Even London Business Show have like 25, 30,000 people, didn't have that lineup at all. It was the best lineup in the whole of the UK. And that was probably one of the proudest moments of my life, to bring in those huge names in Cardiff to do a big event, interview Lord Sugar on stage, bring Grant Cardone over, 2 massive gurus. And you know, when people spoke about it, they said they've been to events for 20 years in Cardiff, right? And in Wales, they've never seen anything like it. It was the best event they've ever seen.
That's amazing. S. Cumming says it was fantastic to be there. That's great. I mean, you really made it big. But to make all the Welsh people realize that this was an amazing moment and they needed to attend it, did you have to use radio, for example, apart from social media? Let's say not every Welsh is following you, for example.
We had partnerships with Wales Online.
Fantastic.
Which is the biggest media house in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
We had national press. We had radio, we had Capital FM radio stations.
Great.
You know, we had to market the whole lot. It had to go global, and we spent an absolute fortune on marketing, because at the end of the day, you had to tell the world about it. It was world news. It was world press. You know, and you know, and at the time, a lot of people in 2018, when we announced Grant Cardone, not many people knew who Grant Cardone was.
Yes, of course.
They went, Grant who? Grant who what? You know?
Yeah.
Since then, he came to the UK, and he came to what we did with the 10X tour as well. People got to know who Grant Cardone was. But
exactly,
apart from that, no one said, never heard of Grant Cardone before.
Oh yeah, that's amazing. There's Marcus says it again, I attended the show with Lord Sugar and it was genuinely mind-blowing. Show how Paul had pulled it off and how successful the event was. So, you know, it's actually, people are able to just shout out your glory and how you did an amazing work. But did it also pull your success higher, in the sense of, did your design company take like 100 steps higher, or did you think of yourself starting up maybe another network business, for example?
100%. One thing what this did is it put me into the billionaire brand market.
Yeah,
that's the #1 tip I learned from this. The #1 tip. I would never be here today if I never brought Lord Sugar or Grant Cardone to Cardiff, if I hadn't done that event, because it put me in the billionaire status. Yeah. And that's how I got to work with Richard Branson.
Oh, you work with Richard Branson too?
Yeah. because that moment was, when you deal in the billionaire league, it's a different mindset completely.
True.
And when I dealt with all previous speakers, we're all millionaires, multimillionaires. It was the first time we had 2 billionaires at the show. And it opened, it was like going from the Premiership into the Champions League. You were taken more seriously.
Yes.
You were taken a different, just a different persona of what your belief was and your dreams were. And then my next goal was, the following year, is to bring Richard Branson to Cardiff.
My goodness. You know, the closest that I get to Richard Branson is buying the Virgin Galactic shares. But to think, have you ever at any point felt like it was daunting to meet maybe a certain person? Now that you have a very strong belief, who would you say would be like daunting to be able to approach?
From interviewing Lord Sugar on stage, right, and obviously, and Grant Cardone,
yeah,
and hanging around with these guys, for 2 or 3 days, they're just like normal people. Sure. They're just like normal people that you talk to anyone, you treat people the same, and okay, they're successful people, and they've done really well. But most successful people are normal people. They're just like down to earth. They give advice, they share knowledge, they share tips, and they like to give back as well. And they're the ones that you learn from those people. And at the time, and how I got to meet Richard was, we were talking at an event in Dublin, and we reached out on stage and said, "There's about 300 people in the audience. Anyone here in this audience knows Richard Branson?" And a guy in the audience said, "One of my friends just come back from Necker Island, spent a week with Richard at a big event." And they said, "I'll introduce you to this person." And the girl was called Hannah Kathleen, a PR marketing company, young girl, lovely girl. Yeah. And I got introduced to her. Mm-hmm. And I said to her, "Listen, I hear you just come back from Necker with Richard, blah, blah, blah." I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, let me introduce you to Richard Branson's tennis coach, which is a guy called James Klusky."
Yeah.
And I spoke to James yesterday, funny enough, and I got introduced to James. I said, "James, I want to approach Richard Branson to come and speak at my events. How do I get to Richard?"
Yeah.
He said, "Well, tell me what you're doing, what you're thinking about, blah, blah, blah." And obviously he said to me, "I can put you in touch with the president of Richard's right-hand man of the Necker Cup."
Wow.
On Necker Islands. Yeah. And I said to Hannah, and I said to James, "Because you helped me, I'm going to give you an opportunity to speak at my events, on stage at my events, because you always give back. People help you, you return the favor, and help back even further."
Yeah.
And we've had a brilliant relationship since then, since those 2 people introduced me to. And then I got introduced to Trevor Shaw. And I said to Trevor, "By the way, Trevor, I just had one of the biggest events in the UK. I want to bring Richard to the UK, to Cardiff or to London." He said, "Okay, let's meet up and talk about it."
Yeah.
And he invited me to an event at Wimbledon with tennis pros and multimillionaires and billionaires were there.
Yeah.
And I said to him, "By the way, I work with Grant Cardone, I work with Lord Sugar." I showed him the videotape. I said, "And I work with billionaires." And he said, "Listen, I'm sure Richard would love to come and speak at your event." So we met at the event at Wimbledon, and he told me about his big event that he had at Necker Islands with all tennis celebrities and gods and lots of billionaires and millionaires that went there. And I never even heard of it. So we got on really, really well. And he said, like, "Listen, guys, I love what you do, Paul. I've researched what you're up to. And I said, I'd love you to come into Necker Islands and meet Richard and talk about doing an event."
Oh, great.
So I said, "Well, I'll tell you what, let me invite some of my clients to come. There's only one problem: price. Because it's not cheap to go.
Of paying now just to go? and take the whole team with you,
Just to
or
go
paying also Richard Branson himself?
No, it's to go to this event. This is an invitation-only event for Richard Branson's clients and to celebrity stars. People like Nick Faldo's there, Martina Navratilova there, Rod Laver. You got Jamie Foxx, the actors. There's a whole list of celebrities there. Okay.
Yeah.
And the start and the figures to go, yeah, is 6 figures.
My goodness.
Okay.
But
6 figures.
In your head, since you've already put yourself on the spot, you already say to yourself, like, I have to do this. The money is not there, but somehow you still believe it's still gonna be possible. And you see, in most cases, many poor people will say, like, oh no, it's too expensive, I can't do it. So they stop trying to find a solution. But you told yourself, like, well, it's 6 figures. How am I going to work this out? So tell us how you managed to work it out, because you had already put yourself on the spot. And once you've already talked to a big person like that, you can't start holding back, because then you will look like a chicken. So you want to be able to roll with the big dogs. And so you want to make sure you can actually deliver as you're showing people. So how did you go about it?
100%. That's what it's all about. You know, you have an opportunity, you get one chance in life.
You have to.
You either take it or you refuse it. And I'm always one of these people that take the opportunity, worry about it later. That's a classic saying from Richard Branson. Richard quotes that there. Accept the challenge, work it out later how you're going to get there or do it or raise the money, finances there. So at the time, we had to raise a lot of money to go to this event, and we did, and we took it. We sold lots of memberships, and we just raised it in the business. I sold some great franchise deals that I sold, and anyway, we raised the money to go. So we were going, and we were going to meet him there as well. And I took some of my clients there, and it was probably the most life-changing event I've ever been to in my whole life. It was just life-changing. When I met Richard there, he said to me, great to meet you. I heard you do some great stuff. I'd love to come and speak at your events, and I'd like you to work, how can we work with each other? And I spent a week with Richard in his house with like over 250 entrepreneurs.
In the house for a week, like you were able to, tap into the knowledge, tap into his lifestyle and how he does things. I mean, this is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And you see, I didn't know all this, but you have just been breathing greatness in your page that I was like, I really want to be part of this somehow. And so I must say, I got humbled when you accepted to be here.
Excellent. Listen, I love helping people, sharing my story. And if I can inspire people to do what I've done in life, just goes to show that, I left school at 16 with no qualifications. I'm dyslexic. But the thing for me, more than anything, I'm hardworking, I'm determined. But also, I think one of the biggest things that I've learned in life is surround yourself with greatness.
Exactly.
And hang around with the right people. And that's what sort of got me where I am today. But going back to Richard's house, and then I did an exclusive deal where I was the only company in the UK that could take people to Richard Branson's house in a partnership. And I still have that in principle now. So I'm taking clients again this year in November, and the people that went there said it was life-changing, and it's an incredible week, spending a week with Richard and learning stuff from him. And you meet his family, you meet his wife and his children, Sam and Holly. But the people you meet there are all like-minded, and raised some like £5 million for his charity, Virgin Unite. But it's I always remember the time when I did a live video, live from Richard Branson's house, like on my phone, saying, guys,
I'm here.
Listen, I'm here live from Richard Branson's house. And my Facebook just blew up. It just went ballistic.
No wonder your Instagram just started rocketing. I was like, what is he doing?
It just went ballistic,
yes.
right? And the people that know me, they said, you know what? If there's one person who could pull this off, they said it'd probably be you would pull it off.
Wow.
Because they know what I'm like with people and getting to know people. And I don't see people as barriers. Anyone is approachable in the world. Sure. You can get to anyone you can get. The key thing is someone knows someone.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone knows someone who's connected to them. So you do your homework, you do your research, and you find out who they connected to that you can leverage and who you can find out from. That's the golden tip, right? Never go to agents, never go to, management companies and all that, because you will pay a fortune. Like we had to pay a fortune for Lord Sugar. We're dealing with Frank PR, one of the biggest PR companies in London, right? And you can pay silly money for these, and you have to pay it. Simple as that to get these people.
But it's part of the road to learning. The mistakes you go along the way, but then now once you get the connection and the power of networking, as we said, it's what now leads you to discovering, like, hey, I can avoid all these people who call themselves consultants. I can avoid all these agencies, and I can be able to actually do this in another way. And it's just contacting one person to the other and telling yourself, like, I'm not going to sleep until I get this. I'm not going to sleep until I reach that person. And it's just the determination that is actually just been seen in you.
100%. And I haven't really touched on Sharon yet. Going back to Sharon, and when this journey all changed. My life completely changed. When that moment where I didn't really want to go to London, I didn't really want to see the speakers. I was working. I had to have a Saturday off, but I did it. I did it for my wife at the time. I said, "Listen, I'll do it for you." And I always say to sometimes, lots of things in my life I didn't want to go to. Or I didn't want to do, and I did, were life-changing times.
Oh yeah, it's just like the way somebody like deciding already to quit school at 16, but look at you now. You have just grown like dynamically going up, and I'm sure your parents must have gotten like a little bit crazy. Like, are you sure you're leaving school? What are you going to become? I mean, you hear all those things like, it's not right, you shouldn't do that. And personally, I've been raising myself since I was 19 years old. I started to come to France, and I have worked it all out to get to the point where I am. Tried to go back to Kenya, had a company. But as you said, agents and consultants, they can destroy your life,
Oh, 100%. But another life-changing moment as well is when you're young, you're naive.
Yeah, very.
You're immature. And one thing, when I was 18, and I'd left school 2 years later, I'd wished I studied.
Oh, really?
I'd wished I learned things. Yeah. I'd wish that, I'd focus more on learning things than what I did. I thought, well, I can sort of add up stuff. I can sell products. I sort of learned sort of like, from like the back streets of Cardiff, where working on market stalls and selling products and all that. And then I went into department stores selling products, and I love fashion. And then I tell you what, you have, I think in life you have milestones.
Yeah.
I think one another big milestone for me is when I became a dad. I became a dad at 21 years old, right? And I thought, Christ, I'm a dad now. I just left school a couple of years ago.
You hadn't lived. You had not lived, man.
I thought, Christ, I gotta provide for a baby. I gotta get a good job. I gotta earn good money. And you know what? That was one thing that I wanted to do. I remember working in a department store in Cardiff called House of Fraser, and my manager had left, and I was working part-time. I was 17 years old, and my manager was like 25, 30 years old, and they were trying to find a manager to run a concession. And I said to the area manager, I can do that job.
Wow.
And they went, what? 70? I said, yeah, I can do that job. No problem at all. I worked for 3 months. I can do it hands down. So give me a trial. And I got the job. I was a younger store manager in the department store out of 100 departments.
But because you had that daring spirit inside you, you believed it, that you can do it. And so you asked for it. Because most people think every single time is like, why didn't they choose me? But you didn't speak up. you didn't show up. You didn't ask for it.
Yeah. So I had the confidence to say, I can do this. One, because I wanted to earn more money. And two, I thought, well, if I can become a manager at 17 years old, it's like kudos, thinking, wow, I'm going to be a manager at 17 years old with no qualifications. How am I going to do this?
Yeah.
And I was there for about a year. And then I got another job as a manager. And then I was like 21 years old, I was an area manager. And I was like, and my goal was at 21 to be an area manager and in £25,000 a year. And I
Amazing.
achieved that. That was my goal. And I always wanted to be, be in management and all that, and learned lots of things. And I always knew that I was good at sales. I always knew I could perform well, and I always did really well. But I just want to go back to Sharon, because I haven't shared this story, and this is probably the biggest life-changing moments. I had an email from Sharon saying, listen, we want to be mentored. Would you take the opportunity? There was one problem. And we said, and the wife at the time said, they want $30,000 to be mentored, right? We're in our first year of in business together. I think, Christ, we can't afford $30,000, from Sharon, and to be mentored. I'm thinking, wow, but I thought, hang on a minute, we're invested in ourselves. Yeah. We're learning from one of the biggest names on the planet. We're learning from someone who mentors George Bush and President Obama, right? And when I told people in the community we're being mentored by Sharon Lechter, they said, are you crazy? Are you mad? What's wrong with you guys? What is wrong? You've just gone crazy, man. But you know something? We always thought big. I always thought big. I always thought about what's the next big thing? How can I leverage Sharon? How can I get one deal that Sharon can introduce me to someone that spends $30,000 with me, or someone pays for that, or I can learn from Sharon? And you know what? It was a life-changing moment, and one of the best decisions we ever made in our life is to have her as our mentor, because one, the credibility that she gave us, two, all the success and the confidence and all the tips she gave us was priceless, absolutely priceless. And three, the amount of doors Sharon opened. I'll give you an example. Over the years, we built a relationship, She introduced us to the world's greatest speakers.
Just from the 30,000 package that you came in as a group, or a single person?
A joint membership, me and my wife at the time, mentored. And Sharon's one of the most respected and credible entrepreneurs in the world. Okay. And over those 3 years that she mentored us, we were paying her a figure every year. We flew over from America to speak at our show.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we, she inspired us to write our book, Trace wrote a book, business networking book, the master networking. She wrote a best-selling book, and she's on a second book now. But Sharon taught us all the principles on the ways of life, and it was probably one of the best investments we've ever made, because we would never be where we were today because she made us think big. She was the one that made me think, you know what? We should do events at the Ritz Hotel with Sharon. We should do events in London. And everyone that knew Sharon was such, such a credible person. We stayed at her house. We went to a weekend lodge, which is 50,000 acres, 21 bedrooms. And her and Michael were more like a mum and dad figure to us. Sharon was more like a mum figure for me, because I lost my mum when I was 49 years old. Sorry, I lost my mum when I was 29. My mum was 49. She died of breast cancer. And that was like 23 years ago. And Sharon was like a mum figure to me.
Great.
And she took me into her wing, and she was there for me. And she was like, you know what? You may have lost your mum, but you got another mum here.
Great.
And you know,
I would like to know her books, that if you can just write it down later for me. I'm gonna get them to, just get to dig into her world a little bit to see more.
Oh, and Sharon taught us so many things. And when we spent time with her, and she used to come over to Wales, and she came here a couple of times, and she spent time with us. And I always remember that every time we did an event together,
Yeah.
I could never look at Sharon from the stage
Oh, really?
because I start crying.
Oh,
I just get upset because she was like, so emotional, and she like, taught me the things that I didn't know about. And she was really mainly responsible for me doing what I've always did. I still be in a store. I still be in a shop now, running shops around the country, doing what I've always wanted to do. But I would never have been an entrepreneur if I hadn't met Sharon Lecter. She was the person that changed my life. And even to level conference last year.
Oh, yeah.
With Grant Cardone, with like 35,000 people, right? And Grant Cardone named 5 of the biggest influences of his whole life, people
Yeah.
in his life, yeah?
It was Sharon.
Out of the 5 people, Sharon was the only female he announced.
And
that
Tony
he
Robbins.
learned from Sharon, the
Yeah.
Rich Dad Poor Dad. And that's the impact that Sharon gave. And even now we have a very close relationship. Still now, she's still like a mother figure to me, and Michael is a father figure. And it was one of the biggest life-changing moments of seeing on stage,
Yeah.
being that person that when you go to an event, and that's what inspired me to do the events. Is what I learned at that show in London 10 years ago, and being that guy sat in the seat and watching someone that inspires you gave me the inspiration to say, I'm going to bring the best speakers in the world to my events, that I'm going to inspire people and go, wow, from seeing Les Brown, John DeMartini, Brian Tracy, Jordan Belfort, Grant Cardone, Lord Sugar, Richard Branson,
I just
the whole
listened
lot,
to the
right?
LeBrons the other like 3 weeks ago. So I've been paying up a lot of this mastermind classes just to grow, because I aspire to actually get there.
So Sharon opened the door for me to all these speakers, and I got them all on my events.
Yeah.
They all spoke for me online. Yeah. I flew them over and they spoke live. And that's how I've become to work with hundreds and hundreds of entrepreneurs, because of my relationship with Sharon, and also I have a relationship with those people. But also the thing with the keynote speakers that I work with is that you treat them all with respect, and you help them leverage their products and services. And obviously, and they inspire you. And then these are legends. You learn. So another one is is Tom Ziegler.
I've read the book from Zig Ziglar.
Tom spoke a few times. So it's surrounding yourself with the best. Learn from the best. Learn from all the skills they show, and then pass the knowledge on to people. And I pass it on for free. I say, listen, if I can inspire one person, or I'll teach a young girl who wants to be an entrepreneur, or a young guy, I'll give them my advice for free, because there's a value for that. But also, if I inspire them, I said, listen, tell your friends, or come to my events, or do something. Because the more you give back, the more you get in life.
So my question here to you, Paul, have you thought of doing a YouTube channel, for example?
I've done YouTube channels before, and I've done all the social media stuff as well. But I'm just launching a new business. I'm involved with a new business app that I'm involved with now, which will be launching very soon, and it's going to be revolutionary. It's going to be one of the first things that we've invented. I'm involved with a team, and I was approached about 5 years ago to help this company to launch it. We're very close to launching it, first in the world. So this is the next big thing that I'm involved with, and I head up the whole of the world of sponsorship and mentoring, and working with teams and football, the Olympics, and team sports. But it's revolutionary.
Now that you have a child who is old enough, how old are they now?
My daughter and my son, grandsons, which are in the background. They're 3 and 1. Oscar and Oliver.
One of them, I'm sure maybe they must be busy and everything, but do you imagine if you made one of them like your shadow, like their assistant that literally is capable of recording everything that you are doing. You talked of really giving back to the world and giving like freely. And I just started YouTube like a year ago, and it's slow and everything, but this is the platform that I found that it has been the best university for me. I can't lie. I have been to school and done great and everything, but there's no university that has been amazing like YouTube. It's where I have gotten to
Oh, 100%.
tap into Richard Branson, Robert Kiyosaki, and Zig Ziglar, as you just talked about him and everything. And reading all these books and listening to them is what has really like molded me into growing even better and greater. And as you said, giving back to the world is what gives you even more and enables you to meet amazing people and everything. And I love it that you're already doing it on Instagram and everything. But if one person can be your assistant and actually just shadow, like even just document all your new company that is just coming up, you can imagine now inspiring younger people who is telling themselves like, I can do that. I can do it. He did it. He says I can do it. And it always takes up to reminding a young person, restructuring their mind that, I mean, if another person has done it, then you have no reason why you shouldn't start or why you shouldn't do something. So perhaps you could probably give it
Yeah.
a thought.
Yeah, and one of the big things that we're launching is in universities and
Oh, great.
colleges. A company called Empower Tech. That's the name of the company, and it's called Empower Sports. We just had our first testimonial. We've been trialing the new app at Liverpool Football Club, and obviously my company Presents is in partnership with this company. So my new company.
So is it an app that we should all download as viewers are all watching us?
It's not. It's apps which are specifically built. They're customized built.
Right.
So we build them for teams, and we build them for like football clubs and rugby clubs and team sports and universities. So it's all customized sports, and we're very, very fortunate to have our development team is based in Australia, and one guy is from Apple, and the other guy was part of the Tesla team that invented the driverless car. And we got another guy who's involved with NASA. So it's revolution what we've invented, and it's taken 5 years, and we're ready to launch it in this week, hopefully the website, and we're talking to all people around the world. I'm even talking to the royal family in Qatar.
Great. Talk of surrounding yourself with greatness. You are outdoing it.
Oh, listen, we're talking to some serious players, billionaires, millionaires in Monaco, Luxembourg, Switzerland, investors. So it's another world again that I'm involved with, and it's very, very exciting. And I'm just honored to be part of. I'm honored to be part of, to be asked to be part of this, to lead this with the team as well. So
I am really honored to be part of those who are, interviewing greatness in advance. And as the world is going to be, discovering you more and more, that I got a chance to have you at this moment in time. It just shows the world what a humble person you are, and literally willing to give back to community. It is really humbling and great. And I'm very honored for you to be here.
Listen. I love talking to people, helping people, and make a difference in the community. And if you can change one person's life every day, then listen, that's what life's about. And I'm lucky. Touch wood. I get people that message me, say, "Listen, I've had some tough times and tough days, and your quotes that inspire me every day that you put out there. I'm doing it for 10 years now, and people say, listen, I love reading them, and it makes me think. And happy days, you try and give love and happiness to everyone, and be kind, be humble, and have gratitude. Gratitude is so important.
it's what enables us to live in the present moment. Actually, when you are grateful to just be alive, to be present, it enables you to live today and not think so much of the past, and not to be too anxious about tomorrow, actually. So being grateful is very, very important, actually.
Oh, so I'm grateful every day just to be alive and be here and share your life and just make a difference to people's lives. That's one thing Sharon always taught us. I was you're here to serve,
Yeah.
and you're here to make a difference to people's lives.
Okay, and so what happened to the fashion design? Is it still going on? Is it a
Oh,
child who has taken over, or?
My fashion industry that finished about 10 years ago. 10 or 12 years ago. I still work with Hugo Boss. I still do events with them
Yeah.
in their stores, but it's more on the back burner. And I still have I'd love to go into the fashion industry, but listen, I'm under a different world. But my next goal, which I'll share with you here, my next goal is to interview Tom Ford, to bring Tom Ford to a big event in New York or London and interview him, because I'm a big fan of Tom Ford as a brand.
That's fabulous.
So watch this space.
The reason why I asked about the design is because it's what molded you at the beginning, and you seemed so passionate about it. So you could have, continued to make that like a legacy that is continuing, that is yours. Because personally, I try to teach people to gain time and financial freedom by creating 10 earning streams, because Jim Rohn, he says for you to attain that financial time and financial freedom, you have to have 10 earning streams. And that's the only way you can say I'm free, when the 10 are like literally solid. So would you say you have been also grounding yourself in a very solid way as you're going towards greatness, so that, because you're humble already, so success cannot destroy you in case you lost everything. But because you have that great mind and spirit to work hard, do you ever ask yourself, like, if all this came crumbling down, are the other avenues like good?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And do you know what? That was the number one learning skill due to COVID. That that really crippled our business. When you're in the hospitality industry and the event industry, prior to COVID in 2020. We had a fantastic January and February. Took something like, I think, £130,000. Had a brilliant start to the year. March was flying. I remember our last event we did. We did it at Lexus in Cardiff, and we had about 130 people booked in. About 60 turned up because of COVID, and that was our last event. And I thought, well, okay, maybe it lasts a couple of months, see how it goes. But the devastation it caused was absolutely immense. From taking some months, you would take 6 figures.
Wow.
To taking less than £5,000 a month. That was a devastation. Huge hit, yeah. And at the time, you had 2 options. We got advice to pull the company. Got advised by senior business accountants that we worked with and dealt with, and said, you can't keep running like this. So financially, we put our own money back in to keep the business afloat. But all our eggs were in one basket. And that was the number one lesson I learned from COVID, that you have to create multiple income streams. That was back last March. Today now, I have 10 income streams coming into my business, 10. And the biggest thing that you will find in life is the amount of years that I'd listened to keynote speakers. All talking about financial literacy,
I can't
financial
hear you.
freedom.
We lost you.
Okay. You can hear me now?
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, you came back.
Yeah. One thing I learned about the, global speakers is that they shared all their top tips about creating income streams, and I got taught this about 10 years ago, 10 or 12 years ago, and I was like, yeah, we should do that, yeah. But guess what? It's about taking action.
Yes.
If you don't take action, yeah,
Yeah.
it comes back and bites you. Okay.
There's one person.
But yeah, we're going to sort this out.
Just a moment. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hold on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there's one person that you made take action. So with this, which is amazing. Paul, the cake base says, Paul, you are a rock star. I was lucky to meet you at the Gemma Collins event. You inspired me to start my business. The event changed my life with Adam Scott.
Oh, fantastic. I was at the event with Adam a few weeks ago with Gemma Collins, and it was, I wasn't even planned to speak. I just went there just to see Adam. It was, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Hold on.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah. I went to Adam invited me to his house. He had a party there. I was like free. I said, so I'll come up and hang out with you guys. And I didn't have any plans to speak at the event. I just thought, well, I'll just show up, have some fun, meet a few people. And I'm just like, yeah. And he said, well, listen, we had a heavy night. It was a big party on the Saturday. He said, oh, do you want to do a few words for me? I said, oh, come on, then I'll talk. I'll tell a few stories of what I've been up to. Can you hear me? Hold on. It keeps losing it, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's almost like trying to tell us like, hey, it's about time, but this is like almost like pushing me to wish that we could take like a whole day, because you're having like nuggets and nuggets to share. But keep going there.
So yeah, I just spoke at Adam's event and just shared my story and said, listen, this is what I did, and yeah, just hopefully people learn from it and get inspired. Hold on.
Oh, but you're back.
How's that?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, but yeah, Adam's a great guy, and he's a good friend of mine, and yeah, one thing I learned, create income streams and take action, because if it bites you again, you got to be prepared and be ready for it.
Yes. I think that came from, after losing the business and we were in debt like over 220,000 euros, and you're telling yourself like, what next? So it sent me into depression of like 10 months. But one thing that kind of saved the situation is having a rental income, at least that enabled us to, like, because we have 2 children, so it enabled us to stay afloat a little bit, like not have our head sunk completely deep in the water. And this is how I just came up with this theme since January, where I aspire to inspire people. And having learned so many digital earning streams that I have been studying and paying up to learn and everything, enable me to to figure out like, hey, people actually can be doing great in one thing, but they forget that it can never last. Like success, sometimes it can come crumbling down. And COVID was one evidence that really showed people how you can lose it all at a go when you're least expected. And so how do you keep your head up the water? And it's only by being able to solidify yourself, having other things that can actually continue bringing in money, whereby, and Robert Kiyosaki advises us all the time, let your assets be the ones paying for your pleasures, and not your income making you be able to do everything. And so this is how I choose to literally inspire people to grow differently. And you would even find most entrepreneurs who are doing very, very huge, because they believe so much in what they do. I mean, they never think like they have to diversify in different things.
Oh yeah, and you know what? I went into into the forex industry.
Oh,
Okay,
great. Yes, I am in it
I know
too.
nothing about forex, nothing whatsoever.
Yes.
And I invested in this forex, and if it wasn't for this forex platform I was involved with, I wouldn't have survived. And I took a risk last March, exactly when COVID hit.
Yes.
And my friend told me about it on Necker. He said, invest so much money. I invested $500 into this platform, and I made $160,000.
But within a span of how much time?
In a space of about 15 months.
Really?
Yeah.
160 from $500?
Yeah. It's from network marketing. And I've never done network marketing my whole life. Never.
Yes.
Okay. And I thought, well, I'm going to give it a go. You got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
And it was life changing. And in fact, the three of us who got involved, I took these guys to Necker, Brian and Dom, and they were with me last week. We came to Cardiff, and I shared on Facebook. Shared.
Yes, I saw.
I shared this message. Okay. For all those people out there that never believed in what we did and didn't believe that we shouldn't touch it with a barge pole, how wrong those people were.
Exactly.
Because we worked out that we generated $2.7 million in 15 months. The three of us have.
Wow.
$2.7 million we've generated, okay, from only $1,800.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
That's huge. Is it CFX by any chance?
Yes.
This is quite a coincidence. I just started CFX a month and a half ago.
Yeah, that's it.
I only put in $1,000. And the amazing thing is you try and tell people, take this opportunity. People don't listen. And I wouldn't lie to you, like, especially me being Black, for example. People go like, oh, that's just a scam. That's just a scam. But you tell yourself, like, it is such a sweetness when you can tell them, like, so who can say it's a scam now? Did you check out the return of last week or something of the sort? And you almost want to tell them that, but you're like, what's the point? Because they don't believe it, they don't get it. That's amazing.
It's small-mindedness, okay?
Exactly.
So give you an example. So you had Brian on there, you have Dom on there, okay?
Yeah.
Brian is the president.
Yes.
He collected his brand new £100,000 Porsche back in January.
Oh my goodness.
Me and Dom are both directors. Yeah. And we earned our £11,500 bonus. Okay.
So you're going for the cruise? Are you going for the cruise?
I can't go on the cruise. The reasons why? It's the same weekend as Richard Branson's event.
Oh my goodness.
Same weekend. So I'm taking my clients there this year. And I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
The people I'm taking to that event, there's 10 billionaires I'm taking.
I want to be in your world. Next year, trust me, we're going to have lunch together.
Yeah. But going back to what you just said there, Brian and Dom, these guys, I'm not in their league at all, but these guys are earning between $50,000 and $60,000 a month.
Are you serious?
That's what they're earning. Yeah, they're earning
because they were able to enable others to actually join the group.
They're doing it full time. I've always done it part time as a lifestyle.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like without that, I would have been like struggling. So for
me, before CFX, before CFX, actually what saved me kind of way, because I've been doing a digital program also for with affiliate. I don't know if you've heard of mentors program, but what saved me mostly was Revolut banking. You know, the online bank where you do cryptos and gold and shares and everything. But the market crashed this year a little bit, where you're losing over 10,000 euros and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah,
but you see, when you're having other avenues bringing in something, is when you are able to like always stay with your head up. And I've actually relieved the session where you're telling yourself, like, because my head is up the water and you have something else bringing in the money, you're able not to crash. You're able not to like feel destroyed, like your whole world is crumbling down or something of the sort, which has been good. So this is a good coincidence. I'm glad we actually like really aligned, and it's what I saw in your post. And I'm like, sometimes I have posted something and I'm seeing it back on your wall and I'm like, we were almost thinking almost the same, which is pretty amazing. So I'm really honored.
It's all mindset.
Yes, I'm really honored and looking forward to knowing more about you, seeing your growth, and I'm gonna watch out for the new project that is coming up. If I'm going to be of any help in any way, it will be an honor. And I want to say thank you so much for your time, for being here. For all my followers, if you want to grow, you better follow Paul's page. I'm going to tag him onto the video. If you have time to actually listen to, what we have been talking about for the first hour, almost in 22 minutes, you are definitely going to get nuggets that are going to transform your life. And if you can get something out of this, it means you've decided to put your mind into some laziness, and that you cannot complain. You can never blame anyone tomorrow and say like, oh, I have not made it because of this, or I have not made it because of that. So I really hope that you will take in all the nuggets and be able to grow. Join us if you would like to do business in, if you'd like to do business in any way. And we hope that you can be able to grow and experience life in a sweet way, meet greatness as Paul is doing, and just experience your best life as much as possible. Paul, how can I say thank you?
Yes, and it's been a pleasure, and it's a great speaking to you. I think my battery on my phone's running out. That's why it keeps losing it. That's all. So
it's telling us it's about time. Perhaps maybe someday we'll be able to meet up in person, now that we are actually in the same world in different businesses and everything. Perhaps we will have a chance to offer again another session, maybe in months' time, if you will be willing. And that as you share your success, it also inspires people in many ways. So I am truly honored, and I'm just sending you blessings, so much love, so much greatness. And I look forward to seeing your next speaker. You said that you want Tom Ford to come there soon.
Good, excellent. Well, it's been a pleasure meeting you. Loves talking to your audience, and it's been a pleasure. And thank you for inviting me.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much, and have a lovely week.
Take care.
Remember, my audience, live, love, laugh, and learn. Okay. Thanks, Paul.
Take care, lovely. Take care.
You're
Take care.